As Iran war fears return, is the U.S. Navy now so stretched that it could be forced to slash training and routine patrols within weeks, just to keep Trump's Gulf buildup afloat? With fuel, munitions, and maintenance budgets rapidly draining away, is the Navy quietly admitting that its stockpiles are disappearing even as Iran still fields missiles, drones, and subs? And if Iran can still fire salvos while the U.S. Navy says it can't afford another full-blown surge, does Washington now risk being priced out of the very conflict it started? As lawmakers finally see the bills, are they discovering that the hidden cost of the Iran air war, wear, tear, and hours on each aircraft, is like losing the equivalent of a combat jet a day on paper? After 39 days of high-intensity strikes before the ceasefire, is the Pentagon more scared of the financial and manpower strain of another Iran surge than of Tehran's next volley itself? Amid talk that fighting with Iran could resume, senior U.S. Navy leaders are now openly admitting they cannot sustain current costs without painful cuts elsewhere. The service's operations chief says the 2026 budget was written before Epic Fury was on the table, meaning this entire Iran campaign is being funded off a plan that never anticipated a major Gulf war. Admiral Daryl Caudle describes the Navy as burning bright in the Middle East, but warns that every extra patrol and strike comes at a steep operational cost that is now starting to bite. He says the fleet is rapidly depleting fuel budgets, maintenance money, stocks of smart weapons, and the finite flight hours left on jets and helicopters scheduled for overhaul. Caudle warns that without extra cash from Congress, the Navy will have to start slashing training cycles and routine operations by July, gutting readiness to keep the Iran front manned. His warning comes in the wake of U.S.-Israeli operations that began on February 28, a campaign that suddenly turned the Gulf into a 24/7 theater for carriers, destroyers, and patrol aircraft. That high-intensity phase lasted 39 days before an April 8 ceasefire understanding, but the Navy's bills, and the strain on crews and hardware, have only kept mounting since. Caudle says, and I quote, "The fiscal 2026 budget didn't bake in Operation Epic Fury. You see a large Navy force in the Middle East. So we're burning bright. But it does come at cost, and it comes at operational costs. To have the funds necessary to continue the war effort, which is quickly racking up fuel costs, operating hours, maintenance dollars, and munitions. I do fear that I'll have to start making decisions in the July time frame. My record recruiting is going to be thwarted without additional funding to PCS to those individuals from boot camp and to pay enlistment and re-enlistment bonuses." Unquote. Months of non-stop missions around Iran have heavily drained maintenance accounts, forcing commanders to delay repairs and push aging hulls harder than planners ever intended. Caudle says the Navy may even have to pause permanent change of station moves for 12,000 to 15,000 sailors, freezing careers and family plans to save money for operations. He also warns that enlistment and re-enlistment bonuses could be delayed or reduced, undercutting recruitment just when the service needs fresh crews most. Extended deployments off Iran have already created logistics problems, with some ships reporting shortages of fresh food, spare parts, and other basics as rotations drag on. Reports from the fleet suggest morale is suffering and mechanical faults are rising, as overworked sailors and stretched maintenance cycles collide under punishing schedules. According to the New York Times, U.S. intelligence reports quietly contradicted Donald Trump's public claims of a decisive victory over Iran. Secret American assessments reportedly revealed that Iran's missile infrastructure remained largely intact despite the intense military campaign. Intelligence findings showed Iran regained operational access to most of its missile bases and underground military facilities. The New York Times reported that Iran restored access to 30 out of 33 missile sites positioned along the Strait of Hormuz. Those missile batteries continued to pose a serious threat to U.S. warships and global oil tankers crossing the critical waterway. American intelligence reportedly assessed that Iran still retained nearly 70% of its mobile missile launchers and stockpiles nationwide. The surviving arsenal reportedly included ballistic missiles capable of regional strikes, along with shorter-range cruise missiles targeting land and sea assets. Analysts further concluded that Iran regained access to nearly 90% of its underground missile storage network after the strikes. The findings directly challenged public claims by Trump and Pete Hegseth that Iran's military capabilities had been decimated. While Trump insisted Iran's missile network had been reduced to a scatter, intelligence assessments painted a far more resilient picture. The reports also exposed a growing dilemma for Washington. with U.S. munition stockpiles shrinking while Iran's capabilities remain substantial. Officials reportedly warned that if the ceasefire collapses, renewed strikes could rapidly drain already strained American missile inventories. Military commanders earlier chose to seal bunker entrances instead of destroying them fully, aiming to conserve scarce bunker-busting weapons. Experts warned that rebuilding America's stockpile of Tomahawks, Patriots, and advanced cruise missiles could take several years. The U.S. military is reportedly considering renaming its operation against Iran as tensions over possible renewed conflict continue to rise. According to reports, the Pentagon may change the name of Operation Epic Fury to Operation Sledgehammer amid evolving military planning. NBC News revealed the potential name change, citing two U.S. officials familiar with ongoing discussions inside Washington. The reported discussions surrounding the new name highlight how seriously the U.S. government is preparing for the possibility of renewed war. This comes after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently declared that Operation Epic Fury had officially concluded. Despite those claims, fears of another major confrontation are rapidly growing as negotiations remain deadlocked and tensions escalate again. Pentagon estimates suggest the Iran war has already cost American taxpayers nearly $30 billion in just a few months. In effect, reports claim nearly $30 billion in U.S. war spending managed to fully disable only 3 major Iranian missile sites near the Strait of Hormuz. The massive cost reportedly includes daily combat operations, emergency deployments, and replacement of damaged American military equipment. Reports also recalled warnings from the German Chancellor to ARD that the United States was facing shortages of critical Tomahawk cruise missiles during the conflict.